Buying a house can be an overwhelming and complex process at times, and so it's no surprise that buyers, especially first-time buyers, make some mistakes along the way. You don't want to make these mistakes because they can cost you tens of thousands of dollars when you're buying a house. So on this episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, I'm going to take you through my top 6 first-time home buyer mistakes and show you how to avoid them. Hey everyone, welcome back to Bald Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeiffer and I like to educate you all about real estate. This video is some of the mistakes I have seen first-time home buyers make. So when you're buying a house, you're probably really excited, but you're also fairly nervous. And that's what can happen when you're feeling a little bit unprepared. So you want to make sure you're prepared and don't make some of the mistakes that I have seen first-time home buyers make that ended up costing them tens of thousands of dollars. So in this episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, we are gonna break down those 6 mistakes that I have seen first-time homebuyers make that cost them tens of thousands of dollars so you can see those problems coming and avoid them entirely. But as always, we're gonna start this off with another one of my terrible jokes. And this one comes from a user, Dan. He said, what do you call a B that's really indecisive? A maybe. That's a terrible joke, but if you got any good ones, put them in the comments. How many times have you heard someone say, you have to buy a house right now because it's the absolute best time? And then 10 minutes later, you hear somebody else say, no, do not buy a house right now. It's the worst time you can possibly even think about buying a house. I bet you've heard that an awful lot because there's a lot of people that talk about trying to time the market. And I'll let you in on a little secret. You can't time the market. If you know somebody who's been able to buy and sell consistently and time the market every single time, have them buy you a lottery ticket because they are awfully lucky. If you end up buying at a great time and selling at a time when prices have gone up a bunch and you've made a bunch of money, you've done really well for yourself, but you got lucky because houses do not always go up in value. They can and they will decrease in value. Instead of trying to time the market, you should be focusing on buying a house because it improves your quality of life. Whether you have an expanding family, you've changed jobs, you're changing cities, but you're buying that house because it makes your personal situation better, it improves the quality of life. And I've seen this question about when should we buy stress out home buyers all the time. They've got 10 different people telling them different things. 5 say, interest rates are as low as they're ever gonna be, prices are low, this is the best time to buy. And then 5 other people are telling them the real estate market is gonna crash next year, you're gonna be able to buy that house for like 50% off. No, don't stress out on those types of things. You wanna focus on buying a house when it's the right time for your personal situation, when it's going to improve your lifestyle. Because if you're sitting waiting to time the market, you're probably gonna miss it. Do you know what's the one thing that can single-handedly improve your chances of getting pre-approved for a mortgage? Well, subscribing to Bald Prairie Real Estate, liking this video, and sharing it on social media. Promise you, that's gonna help you get pre-approved. Okay, I'm kidding there on that. But no, you cannot just go online, do a quick little online mortgage calculator, boom, you are approved for $1.2 million. That's not how it works. You need to sit down with a mortgage specialist who's gonna verify your credit history, what your credit score is, your down payment, your income, your debts. After you know all that, then you're gonna know what the maximum you are able to spend. Now, that doesn't mean that you should spend that maximum amount. You wanna look at that amount and then do a budget up to see how that fits within your budget. And make sure when you are doing that budget, you know what all the costs are going to be associated with not only the ownership of the house, but what are gonna be some of the additional upfront costs when buying a house. And I got more on that coming later in this video, some of the additional costs that first-time homebuyers didn't know about that really came up to surprise them. But when you do that budget, make sure you account for things like job loss or interest rates going up. And can you still afford that house? Does it fit within your financial capacity? Do you feel comfortable buying the house with that payment, knowing what it's gonna be? So getting your pre-approval done and doing that before you start shopping, before you fall in love with a house, that is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen first-time homebuyers make. They fall in love with a house and they can't afford it because they haven't done a proper pre-approval. I help buyers find houses every single day. And even with all that practice, I have yet to find the perfect house for somebody that meets all of the criteria and checks off every single one of their boxes. And it's not for a lack of trying. My record right now for showing houses to one single buyer before they bought a house was 66 houses. They bought house number 66. And if you're thinking about buying a house right now and you're in Regina and you'd like to use me as your realtor, please don't tell me that you want to break that record and go say 67. That would break my heart. So let's not even start with that. The perfect house that you're looking for, it's a unicorn. It doesn't exist outside of what's in your head and what you've written down on your wants and needs list. I promise you, you're never gonna find a perfect house. What you're looking for is finding the best house at the time when you're ready to buy. In that period you're looking, go find the best possible house during that time period. Because remember, you're buying a house because it improves your lifestyle. And is sitting around waiting for the perfect house that probably doesn't exist, is that improving your lifestyle? Probably not. So focus on finding the best possible house versus stressing out trying to find the perfect house. This should be one of the very first steps that you take, and that is writing down that list of wants and needs. It's so easy to just go into houses and go, ooh, the kitchen's pretty. I like this one, let's buy it. But sit down, write down that needs and wants list. Actually physically write it down, because it's not gonna make it more concrete for you, but it's gonna help your realtor because they know what you're looking for. As of right now, we can't read your mind. We might want to, but we can't do it yet. Now, this wants and needs, like I said, should be one of the first things you do. And I did in my home buyer's guide, which you can check out right here. I'll put up a card for that. Actually, I think it's gonna be this side, but you can check that out. And that's one of the very first steps in that home buyer's guide. So write that list down and put it in 3 categories. Things you have to have, things you would like to have if it fits in your budget, and things that are deal breakers. Sometimes this question's easier to work backwards. So maybe start with, hey, I definitely don't want these things, and that'll help you fill in the blanks for the wants, and then kind of, maybe I would like this if I can get it type of category. So wants, needs, and absolute deal breakers, things you can't have. And this is gonna change, I promise you guys. You'll write this down, you'll go see a couple of houses, and things that were wants are gonna become needs, and things that were needs are gonna become wants. And maybe even some deal breakers are going to change. But you wanna have some fun with this? Write down that list, make a copy of it, put it away. Don't do anything with it until you buy a house. Once you've bought a house, go through, pull out that first list that you made and see how that house compares to that very first list that you made, and maybe even compare it to see how your list of wants and needs change. So one of the biggest mistakes that buyers make is not having a wants and needs list written down. Okay, you knew the realtor was gonna tell you you need to hire a buyer's agent when you're buying a house, right? Of course he was gonna tell you that. I'll let you in on a little secret though. You don't need to have a realtor to buy a house, but I do believe it can provide you with a lot of benefits. A good realtor should be able to provide you with some experience, knowledge, confidence, and more than anything else, convenience. That's what a good realtor should be able to provide to you. Now, don't just go out looking for that unicorn house by looking at open houses and then hoping when you do find that amazing dream home that you never thought was gonna exist and having a listing agent write that offer for you. You wanna have a buyer's agent who's looking and dedicated to finding you that perfect house, or they're gonna die trying. Please don't run your real estate agent that hard. Don't make us run that hard. But I promise you, that's what a good real estate agent, when I'm looking after your buying needs, that's what they're focused on trying to do. And I recommend that you should have a few agents sit down in front of you and you should interview those agents to find the right one that fits with what you're looking for. Now, interview them. They should have a whole package available for you. You should be confident that they're gonna find you that house, but you're probably asking, what do I ask these agents? How do I know if I've got the right agent? Well, guess what? I have done a video that's gonna give you 6 questions that if you ask a real estate agent, those 6 questions, you're gonna find a really good one. So you can check that out right here. I told you I was gonna come back to this one, and I left it to the end for a reason, because this is probably the #1 mistake that I see first-time home buyers make, and that is getting surprised by additional fees when they're buying a house. Because it's not just saving for down payment, you're done. There's going to be additional costs, and this is where buyers get surprised, and now they're on the hook for thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars that they didn't anticipate they were gonna have to pay. So you need to know up front what additional costs in your market you're gonna have to pay. Some of these will include things like your legal fees, land transfer taxes, CMHC fees, your inspection fees. Plus, like I said, no house is perfect, so you're probably gonna have some renovations that you're gonna wanna do right off the hop. And you need to have money set aside for that, because the last thing you want is a week or two before possession, you get an additional bill, potentially for thousands of dollars, that you didn't anticipate and you hadn't budgeted for, and now you're scrambling to try to get this bill paid before you take possession of your house. So ask your lawyer, what are the legal fees that I have to pay for their services? But also, is there a land transfer tax in your area? The lawyers will know that, as well as your real estate agent will know what the land transfer taxes are, how much they are. Ask your realtor if there's any additional fees the realtor charges. Most of them won't, because they're paid for by the seller, but there might be additional fees, so check into that. Also, make sure that there isn't additional inspections that you didn't know you were gonna have to do. Most of the time, the realtor is gonna know in your area what inspections you're gonna have to do. There's always the chance there's additional inspections come up, and make sure you're satisfied with all those home inspections, but the realtor is gonna know what's typically done in your market. So for me, for example, in my market, Regina, we're always gonna do home inspections, but we also do sewer inspections and gas line locates, because those are challenges or problems we see a lot of times in my market. So make sure you know all of those additional costs, in addition to your down payment, that you're gonna have to pay when you're buying a house, because these can quickly add up, and you don't wanna be scrambling just before possession to pay these so you can buy that house that's your dream house that you finally found. Now you know the 6 mistakes that first-time home buyers have made when they're buying a house. And as you can see, a lot of it comes down to being more educated about the process of buying a house. Well, guess what? If you subscribe to Bald Prairie Real Estate, you're gonna stay educated, because that's what I focus on, educational real estate videos. And I've got a first-time homebuyer playlist right here that you can check out. It's gonna answer all your questions as a first-time homebuyer, or just if you're curious about the buying process. Of course, one of the biggest questions you've probably got is, what is going on with the Canadian housing market right now? Well, right here, that is my most recent Canadian housing market update, so you can check that out as well. And as always, thanks very much for watching, everyone.